How you doing? It's Sandesh here, and I'm here to do a video on an article on spikedonline.com, and it's called "It's Time for Gay People to Turn Our Backs on Pride." Um, Before getting to the article, if you could please like, comment, and subscribe on this video, and if you could follow me on X and subscribe on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey as well, if you don't mind, please. I'm going to get to the article now. The impact of the riots at the Stonewall in June 1969 has often been overblown. Oh, excuse me. Those few summer days when the belligerent gay community fought back against the police on the streets of New York City are rightly considered a milestone in the struggle for equal rights in the West. But endless arguments about who threw the first brick have obscured the truth about gay equality was achieved by activists who persisted in the aftermath, harnessing that energy and changing the world forever. Perhaps a more important milestone was the march organised by a handful of campaigners a year after Stonewall. Craig Rod Wells' idea, excuse me, sorry about that, had been made to make this a yearly commemoration that would supersede that annual reminder picket events that he had been holding every Independence Day in Philadelphia since 1965. It had been known as the Christopher Street Liberation Day, later retrospectively rebranded as the first New York City Pride March. It was orchestrated chiefly by Rodwell, Fred Sargent, I think that's what it says, Linda Rhodes, and Ellen Brody. The march took place on 28th of June 1970, and it was an audacious display. Police hostility to gay people was rife. The local media were overwhelmingly unsympathetic, and there were fears of violent repercussions from observers. The day passed off peacefully, perhaps because of a general sense of astonishment that thousands of gay people would assemble so openly. A reporter for the Village Voice wrote that no one could quite believe. Eyes rolled back in heads. Sunday tourists traded incredulous looks. Wondrous faces poked out of air-conditioned cars. At the head of the march, Fred Sargent carried a bullhorn and called out instructions to the marchers as they made their way from the Westwood Village to Central Park. 54 years later, and Pride has transformed from an important act of resistance into a month-long orgy of corporatism and virtual signaling. That's what it is. It's virtual signaling, and it's a form of control over people in general. It's as far as to think what we say, like what we say, and that's pretty much it. And it's funny that the fact that that they virtual signaled that pride in general, pride culture in general, as far as woke ideology, they say that they promote diversity and inclusion. But the thing is, when you really think about it, you're not promoting inclusion, and you're not promoting diversity, because diversity can be a case of diversify different people having different points of views and accepting people for the way they are, even if they're gay or not, or they don't believe it or not, but being able to talk about it like adults. Now with the woke ideology, if you don't believe in it, and then they just name call you, and then just straight counsel you. Therefore, cancel culture. Full of heterosexuals desperate to identify themselves into an oppressed group with the help of trans ideology. Progress pride flags flutter from every high street store. This is a relatively new design of kaleidoscopic eyesore that has replaced the traditional six-stripe pride flag. It is emblazoned on schools, universities, hospitals, civic buildings, in the city of Arlington in Texas. This year's family-friendly Pride event, including displays of dildos, half-naked drag queens, and human dogs in a bondage gear. What you know? What it's this one talking about? It's just become stupidity now. It's just become a clown show, and they want to be. And the thing is, the funny thing about it is they want to be taken serious. Like it's like, how the hell are we supposed to take you seriously? And why the hell would I want to? Why the hell would I want to be associated with you? You just sound. I mean, you're just not giving people a reason to. And the straight people that want to be associated with you, I honestly think they're first of all, I think they're lonely and they've got nothing to do, and they want to be part of a, and they want to jump on a bandwagon. And to be honest, that's all I can think of. All co-sponsored by Lockheed Martin, the world's largest producer of armaments. In London, numerous pedestrian crossings have been repainted with the Progress Pride motif. Police forces find walking across the coloured stripes confused and disturbing, so the animals have undergone special training to overcome their fears. After all, it is essential to address the rampant homophobia within the equine um, community. See, see this is what I'm saying, and also, by the way, like it just said, Lockheed Martin. Just look up Lockheed Martin, and that tells you all you need to know. This pride movement is not authentic. It's not authentic like the civil rights movement. The Black Lives Matter movement was not authentic because the thing is, Black Lives Matter is just it's just nothing but a corporation. It's just nothing but a corporation. You really can't take them seriously. What might the thousands who turned out on that summer day in New York in 1970 make of this distorted version of Pride? Those gay men and lesbians who risked social altruism, sorry about that, and physical violence together in public have little in common with the garbage and unsettling fascism. A poll from 2021 determined that almost 40% of Americans between the ages of 18 and 24 now identify as LGBTQ. Given the vast majority identifying as such do so as trans, non-binary and queer, this means that it is statistically certain that gay people are now the minority in this coalition. Yeah, because I'm starting to think that the way how they use like non-binary, gender fluid, queer, I'm starting to think that there's not as many gay people in the woke culture as has been led to believe, and I don't think that that many gay people are gonna. I don't even think that many gay people would even agree with their views. It's like, look, you can't force people to like gay people or to even respect them. But the thing is, you can at least have a discussion about it, have a grown-up discussion about it. The early pioneers of gay rights didn't risk so much for their movement to be usurped by um, heterosexuals with a martyr complex. It would be interesting to see polling data on how many gay people support Pride in its new trans-inclusive incarnation. One recent poll on X asked a simple question: do you want Pride anymore? And although 93.5% of respondents replied in the negative, social media posts are notoriously useless and we would be unwise to draw any conclusions from them. Still, it is surely significant that this poll was reposted by Fred Sargent, and that his answer was a resounding no. That the man who led the first Pride March, bullhorn in hand, should now reject the annual event that he co-created because of its embrace of gender ideology is far from trivial. Nor is it trivial that is handing out pamphlets critical of the trans movement at a Pride event in Vermont in 2022. Sargent was physically attacked by trans activists. See what I mean? Trans activists are the ones that are causing the violence, and yet they're saying, yeah, we're getting marginalized and we're getting beaten up, and yet these are the ones that are also not only causing the violence, they're also, I guarantee you, they're also saying, yeah, they want to kill people, and also, yeah, and also they want to, and also they want to sexually abuse children and physically harm them. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? You are clearly mentally unwell. Um, he is not alone. Many gay people have expressed dismay at the metamorphosis of pride and feel that it no longer represents them. This can be confusing for those who have not been paying attention. I knew that many gay people have expressed dismay. I knew it. Um, to its ongoing political evolution, but there's a very good reason why groups of gay men and lesbians are now holding alternative pride rallies this year. In August of 2022, police insisted that lesbians leave a pride parade because their banners proclaiming that lesbians don't like penises and trans activism erases lesbians were causing consternation. When gay people are being escorted away from pride marches by the police, we can safely say that the movement has fallen. What it is, what it is, what the movement is has been the movement has been created by a corporation, and it's also co-sponsored by Lockheed Martin. That's all you need to know. Some might argue that the LGBTQ IA plus what the hell that these alphabet people explosion is an example of what happens when liberalism goes unchecked. That it is a natural consequence of an excess of intolerance and the rise of identity politics. Yet while identity politics in its current intersection form has proven to be deeply liberal and regressive, there have been sound reasons throughout history for people with shared characteristics to organise and resist. Unlike the various campaigns for imaginary victimhood that dominate today's social justice causes, being openly gay in the 1970s came at a huge cost. At the time of the first Pride parade, I remember when Sir Ian McKellen once said that when you couldn't be gay back in the day because you could be arrested. Because I remember he was saying um, at the time of the first Pride parade, every state in the US, with the exception of Illinois, criminalised gay people, well, gay sex. In services and employment, discrimination against gay people was permitted, and even most progressives assumed that homosexuality was a mental illness. This is a world away from exaggerated or fabricated grievances of the diversity, equality, and inclusion industry today. That's what I'm saying. They talk about inclusion, diversity, and equality, but the thing is that's not really what you're doing. You only want to include people as long as people agrees with everything you say and talks exactly like you say, and dress like how you want them to, and etc. That's not inclusion, and that's not inclusion and progressive. What that is that's no different to what that's not no different to what happened in Nazi Germany. Now that gay people have complete equal rights under the law, the protest element of pride has been appropriated by those with an apparent craving for oppression. That's what I'm saying. People like this, when you give them a little bit of power, a little bit of power is never going to be enough. Um, a sexual activist, for instance, sorry, have taken center stage at certain pride events, even though nobody in the history of humankind has ever been burned at the stake for not wanting to have sex. It isn't the case that those who identify as asexual are facing discrimination. It's that nobody cares about what they don't get up to in the bedroom. But of course, for those narcissistic temperament, there could be nothing more devastating than that being ignored. Many of those who call themselves non-binary are simply vocal, but there is no serious comparison to be made between the historic persecution of homosexuals and experiencing some pushback when you demand that others refer to you as they or them. Coming out as gay in 1970 increased the risk of being violently assaulted. Coming out as non-binary today only increases one chance of being employed at the BBC. 100% agree. 100% agree with that. Whoever wrote this article, I mean, I'll give him respect because he probably might be a gay person, but the thing is, he's clearly not holding anything back, and I do respect that. Of course, all of this must be symptomatic of the developing cult of victimhood in the Western world. Ironically, there is now power in being the victim. Those who claim to be marginalised are able to get people fired. Yep. And drive them from public life, harass and bully them in the name of progress. J.K. Rowling, that's all I need to know. Look what happened to J.K. Rowling. Who would have thought that there was some clout in being oppressed? Far from being a collective gesture of unity, Pride is now widely interpreted as a celebration of homophobia. That's what it is. It's just another form of homophobia, and also telling people to go fuck themselves if they don't agree with everything you say and do. That's all it is. It's just corporatized. This is because it has become infected with gender ideology, which seeks to eliminate gay people from their own history. Although trans-identified individuals were rarely seen at activist meetings and events in the early decades of the gay movement, revisionists are now insisting that gay people owe their rights, to the hard work of trans campaigners. We are told that a black trans woman, Marsha P. Johnson, was the key figure at the Stonewall riots. This is wrong on many counts. The riots were overwhelmingly dominated by young gay men. Although Johnson took part in the demonstrations, he wasn't present when the rioting began. Most significantly, by his own admission, he was a transvestite who didn't identify as female. Fred Sargent has been much vilified for exposing the truth of what took place in the early years of the gay rights movement, and he is now thorn in the side of activists whose worldview depends on a narrative that runs contrary to the truth. Recently, he posted a link to the Digital Transgender Archive on the Third International Conference on Transgender Law and Employment Policy, which explicitly outlines how gay people and trans movements in the 20th century were completely separate. The conflation of the LGBT and T is an invention as recent as 2015, as the document explains. While the gay rights movement in the US began in the 1920s, the existence of transgender community that seeks reform did not come into existence until the 1990s. The historical revisionism doesn't end at Stonewall. Activists have attempted to claim that certain gay historical figures were mistaking true trans identity for homosexuality, just as a Mormon priests have been known to baptize the dead and thereby convert them unwillingly to their cause. Trans activists have been busy harvesting the annals of history for potential recruits. Those falsely claimed as trans include George Eliot, Dr. James Barry, Radcliffe Hall, and Joan of Arc. People who were gay and gender non-conforming are particularly vulnerable to this kind of retrospective transing. It's very convenient for activists that the dead can't complain. Yeah, 100% agree. When the dead can't fight back, I think you can say whatever the hell you want about them. While many trans campaigners consider themselves supportive of gay rights, overt homophobia is nonetheless often tolerated and encouraged within the circles. There are innumerable examples of online trans activists claiming that homosexuality is a form of transphobia and that only bigots have genital preferences. If you're a cis gay man, writes one, and your sexuality revolves around not liking female genitalia, I hope you die and I will spit on your grave. Yeah, stay classy as always. A video recently went viral featuring an activist explaining to gay men why they should transition to female and that maybe being gay is an outdated concept. An online influencer called David Wavy uploaded his attempt at a gay conversion therapy in a video entitled "How to Eat Pussy for Gay Men." One can imagine it being shown to a young man at an evangelical Christian retreat for those who wish to find a cure for their immoral urges. This isn't simply a case of a handful of lunatics on the fringe. This idea has also been normalised in mainstream gay culture. Australia's Human Rights Commission prohibits lesbians from holding female-only events on the grounds that it discriminates against men who identify as female. Yeah, I'm not surprised that Australia does that sort of bullshit. I mean, anyway, Sal Grover, the founder of women's app Giggle, is currently in a legal battle on Australia because she refused to allow a man to join. Stonewall has even refined homosexuality on his website as same-gender attracted. To former CEO Nancy Kelly once suggested that women who don't wish to date trans people are sexual racists. No, Nancy, they're just gay. See what I mean? They make up these phrases and words. It's just like, what the hell are you talking about? You know what? Half these phrases are words I can't even keep up with. I may sound outdated, but it's basically a sense of. It's also about common sense. It's like, what the hell? We have seen this all before. In the 1980s, it was a common trot for gay men to be told that they just haven't found the right girl yet, and to suggest to lesbians that they just need the right dick. The rights of homosexuals depend upon a recognition that a minority of people are attracted to their own sex. Once sex is eliminated from the equation, gay rights are no longer tenable. The most obvious example of how gay rights have been threatened by trans ideology is that young gay people who disproportionately at risk of surgical correction, given that between 80 and 19% of adolescents referred to the NHS and Tavistock Clinic were oriented towards their own sex. It is clear that in many cases homosexuality was being treated as a gender dysphoria. I am usually mistrustful of accusations of various phobias which can be used as a rhetorical technique to discourage disagreements, but if medicalizing people for being same-sex attracted doesn't qualify as homophobic, I'm not sure that anything does. And so pride and its accoutrements, I think that's what it says, sorry about that, have come to represent an ideology that seeks that not only to erase the foundations of gay rights, but also to reconceptualize same-sex attraction as a condition that requires medical treatment. When police officers decorate their cars with their pride colours, when NHS workers display the rainbow lanyard, when schools decorate their halls with bunting in solidarity, there's almost certainly doing so with the noble intention of promoting equal rights, but they are inadvertently promoting a movement whose end goal is the eradication of homosexuality. This is not to deny that the Progress Pride flag and all it represents have been embraced by many gay people. It is clearly the case that a majority have not realised the extent to which the flag has been hijacked for a cause that actually works against their interests. The situation has hardly been helped by prominent celebrities, often now referred to as Vichy gays, who have cheered on this sinister development. Homosexuals are not immune to the condition of useful idiocy. Given that pride has become so divisive, and given that so many lesbians, bisexuals, gay men are now considered to be essentially hostile enterprise, it would be prudent for corporations and government bodies to stop pretending that there is a consensus on this issue. Ignorance is no longer an excuse. By flying the Progress Pride flag, they are taking a side in a highly contentious culture debate, one that alienates as many gay people as it attracts. Those who were serious about gay rights need to distance themselves from pride once and for all. Well, the thing is, asking a corporation and government bodies to stop doing this, that ain't going to work. If anything, they're going to go and they're going to push even further with it. It's just going to get worse. That's one thing I can guarantee you. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe on this video, and if you could please and if you could please subscribe on YouTube Rumble and Odyssey as well, if you don't mind, please. And let me know in the comments on what you think about this issue, about gay rights and that, and pride in general, and woke ideology, and let me know what you think. And thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you soon.